Hello and welcome to this Adobe Premiere tutorial. My name is Rob and I'm excited to go over with you the basics of Adobe Premiere, an introduction to opening up the program, to opening up a new project, some of the keyboard shortcuts that I like to use that are my favorites that my hand literally lives on when I'm editing, and then just a little overview of the program. So first thing is we're going to open up Adobe and you're going to have a dialog box like this. I have some other projects that I've been working on, such as my free workshop that I'm actually sending out to those interested in learning about the filmmaking process. If you're looking to learn about pre-production, especially pre-production, which is an important process in filmmaking, let me know and I can send that over to you. So what we're going to do is either open or start a new project. So for the sake of this video, let's go new project and we're going to name it. So let's say you're working on a short film and it's called, I don't know, The COVID Cure. That's a good title, The COVID Cure. Okay. First thing I like to do is name the project, and then the location is where this is going to save, okay? And this is important because this can eat up your computer's hard drive. And so what I like to do is work off of an external hard drive, which is down off the screen there. So what I'm gonna do is go to Browse. It's just gonna load, Browse. There we go, a little slow. And I'm gonna click on the hard drive and I'm gonna create a new folder and call it COVID Film. Boom, and that's where everything is going to save, right there in COVID Film, okay? We're gonna hit OK, and we're in Premiere, voila. Now, first thing, what I like to do is go to Preferences up here and go to Media Cache. Again, this is where everything is going to save so that data doesn't just eat up on your hard drive, okay? So that's gonna load, and you can see Media Cache right here, and we're gonna browse at the top right, and we're just gonna make sure that we're in the COVID Film folder and hit choose, okay, boom. So now everything that we edit, anything that you need to render, all of your files, it will go to this folder, which is on an external hard drive that has probably a lot more data than your computer's hard drive, okay? So while that we're in here, let's actually just hit okay. And then let's go back and go to Preferences, General. Okay, so this, I don't really touch anything in here, guys. This is kind of all just standard. The appearance, right, you can play with the brightness of your program. I just keep it dark, but let's brighten it up a little bit. Okay, there we go. Again, for audio, I just leave everything as is, guys. Audio hardware, if you're working with a microphone, like I'm using a Yeti right now, but I don't need it in Premiere, but you can select, let's say you're editing with wireless headphones, you would go into the default input output and find your headphones. So there's the microphone I'm using now. That's if you want to record in Premiere or if you want to listen with headphones in Premiere. Autosave, guys, you can set this to every 15 minutes. You could even bring it down to like 10 minutes if you'd like. Adobe can crash, especially if you're on a weaker computer. So you want to be careful and you want to make sure autosave is on and that you are saving your project. Other than that, guys, there's not much more. You can go to memory and make sure that your RAM reserved for other applications. You can change this installed RAM. I'm on a smaller computer here today, but you just want to make sure that Premiere has enough space and memory to be using so that Premiere is pretty fast. So I have RAM available for, and you can see Premiere right here, the PR. So I have 6 gigs reserved for it, okay? So I'm gonna hit okay. Now, this is Premiere, okay? We have a lot of windows open. We have different settings up here for color, for effects, for audio. I like to stay in editing, okay? And for the sake of this, I'm gonna start right from scratch. So let's say I'm editing a video. I'm gonna hit Command-I. So that's a keyboard shortcut to import your files. So I actually have COVID right here, COVID goes here. And what I'm gonna do is just click anywhere on these files, hold Shift, click down, and it selects all 6 of those. And then you're gonna hit import. Perfect, so down here, let me just turn on there we go. You can see the mouse a little bit easier. What I first like to do is organize everything so that it's nice and clean. So I'm gonna right click and go new bin. And I'm gonna call this footage. So then I'm gonna take all of these files, drag it into footage. And it doesn't look like much changed until you do this. Boom, right? Because at the end of an edit, you're gonna have a lot of things here. For example, Command I, okay? Let's bring in music. Here's a music soundtrack, import. Look at that. Again, new bin and music. If you have one song, then you probably don't need to do this, but I always like to import more soundtracks to test them out. So drag that in there and close it up. Okay, perfect. So the next step would be to create a sequence. And to do that, there's two ways. There's clicking down here, right here, this guy right there, and then sequence. This is going to start the sequence for you to edit. So typical is digital SLR at 1080p and 24 frames per second. That's pretty standard. Maybe it's 30 frames per second. The other way to do this is to open up the footage, take a video clip, and drag it into this guy right here, and watch what happens. Boom. It just made a sequence. Now the sequence is going to be to the clip's settings. So this clip here, if you can notice right here, this clip is 23.98 frames. This sequence, which is right here, is also 23.98. It's also going to be the dimensions of the clip. Okay, so this is a 4K clip, so it's going to make a 4K sequence, 3840 by 2160. Now, let's say you do not want to edit in a 4K sequence. You can go up here to sequence settings. This is a little bit more advanced, guys, but don't worry. And you can change this to 1920 by 1080. Okay, so now we're in a 1920 by 1080. And now what we have to do is click this clip and go to Effect Controls and just bring it down to probably 50%, which is half. And there we go. Now we're in a 1080 sequence, and our clip is at 1080 as well. And there it is there, okay? So what I'm going to do is work with, just to make things quicker, 1080 file. I actually created proxies for this, perfect. So let's just bring that in, drag it into the footage. Okay, and where did that go? Here it is down here. Drag it into our now 1920 by 1080 sequence. I'm going to delete this clip. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to click here, and you can go back to the effect controls, and the effect controls give us data on what the clip is. So we have position, okay, so we can drag the position wherever we'd like, okay? And to redo, you're just going to hit this arrow and reset it. Scaling is going to be just like this. If you want to do an effect and bring it up or down, whatever you want to do, okay? I'm going to undo that by hitting Command Z. You don't have to worry about uniform scale. What that does is if you uncheck it, you can actually now control the width scale or the height scale, okay? Or if it's checked, you just have one scale like that, okay? Rotation, okay? Anchor point is where, it's kind of like using the position tool up here. An anchor point just sets kind of the, you know, where it's pretty much centered. So right now the anchor point is in the center, okay? So you can just leave it in the center, and that way if you move the position up here, it's kind of moving to this anchor point. That's a bit more advanced though, we won't cover that. Opacity, okay, so again, if you want to fade a clip in, you can do it, okay? Now, this is your timeline, and this is where all the clips will be. Okay, so if we import, Command I, go to that proxy folder, and let's grab a few more clips, import those three. I'm going to put them in the timeline right here, just like that, and then I'm going to bring them over here into the footage folder, just to keep everything organized. Okay, see that? This is nice and clean over here. So I don't need any audio because these video files don't come with audio. And we have some black here and black up here. I'm going to show you how to get rid of that in a second. So what I'm first going to do to get rid of these, to link these, I'm going to highlight them all, right click, and go to unlink. What this does now is it gives me control to just delete the audio. Delete, because I'm just working with video in this ad. Okay, and so we have one clip here of man washing. We have a clip here of looks to be female washing her hands. Another clip here of washing, and another person washing, okay? So I have 4 clips in here. I'm gonna bring them right to 0, right to the beginning, okay? And to clear up this space right here, rather than clicking these and moving them over, you can click the empty space and hit the delete key, and it brings them right over just like that. Okay, kind of a cool little trick. If you hit the plus or the minus on the keyboard, you can actually extend the clips just like that. So if you're working in a timeline that's like an hour long, you can zoom out. Okay, so I'm zoomed into this first clip here. This is the first clip. Let's zoom out just like that. Okay, if you hit Command plus on a Mac, Apple plus, Command plus, it opens up the video layers just like that. Okay, and the same is true for when you hit for audio. Let's just drag in a music file, which is going to be down here. If you hit Option plus, it'll open that, and that just gives you access to this line here to control the levels of the audio. Okay, generally we want music to be at -12 dB. So over here, if I hit play, it's pretty loud and it's peaking at around -3. Watch this. Okay, so to do that, you just bring this bar down to around, let's go to -12, right? And now it's under -12. Okay, you can hit these, the bracket keys, if you will, to also control. So I'm hitting it, I'm turning it up by the touch of a key. It's a little high, so we'll go back down. And that looks good. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll deal with audio after. Oh, that looks like the size of the whole file. I'm going to hit the mute button to turn it off. So now we don't have to hear it. Right now, I'm just trying to put together 10 seconds of hand washing. Very easy. So I have the 4 clips here. What I'm going to do is find my favorite in and out in this clip here. Okay, so he's washing, he's washing. I'm going to stop. And there's 2 ways to grab this portion right here. I can hit C on the keyboard, make a cut, hit V to go back to the arrow tool, click, delete. Or I can just take the clip here, drag it down, and it stops right there. Okay, and again, click this empty space, hit delete, it brings it in. We're on to clip number 2. Let's first fix the black bar at the top and bottom. We're going to go to the effect controls. We're going to go to scale, and I'm going to type in, I think 106 would be the number. Let's see if I'm right. Oh, close. Let's go 109. Perfect. Maybe 110. All right, so we got rid of it. Got rid of those black bars. You can afford to zoom in at 110, 10% extra. You won't lose too much quality. You won't really notice that. And again, let's just skim through and find a point that we like. So I'm a fairly fast editor when I edit, so I can really find things. I have a trained eye to kind of see what I'm looking for. That's a good moment there. So I'm going to hit C and hit click. I'm going to go back right about there, hit click, okay, hit V, delete this one, delete this one, because this portion right here is what I like. This is what I like right there. Perfect. I'm going to drag this over, okay, or delete here and drag it over. All right, 2 clips to go, and then we're going to watch what we've done. It's going to be a rough draft, okay? So I'm going through. Let's stop here. That's kind of boring. That doesn't really work for me, so let's go back a little bit. Hit plus on the keyboard to bring it up. Cool. Hit C, click, make a little guess over here, click, hit V, arrow tool comes up, delete, delete, minus on the keyboard, empty space, delete, perfect. 1 clip to go. Let's just watch it. Okay, scrubbing the fingers there, pretty cool, in the water. Okay, so here's where I can hit C, okay, make the cut, and then if you go shift arrow key, so shift left arrow key, I can go back frames almost, like 5 frames at a time. So I can hit plus on the keyboard. Now, if I hit the arrow key, the left arrow key, if you notice over here, it's going to go 1 frame at a time. Okay, look at the footage. 1 frame at a time. If I hit shift arrow key, it's going to go, right, 5 frames at a time. Okay, you can go forward, backwards, forward, backwards. I'm going to make my cut, zoom out, delete, 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 and delete. There we go. Look at that. Just guesswork. I almost hit 10 seconds. Look at that. So let's say the client is requesting a 10-second commercial. This is a paid job. You have to deliver a 10-second commercial. Let's just watch a rough cut. So it's nothing too fun. It's nothing too fancy. This is just stock video. When you create stuff in pre-production and you write a storyboard and you have an idea, that's where ideas really come to life. But for the sake of this, first of all, I want to have all the clips cut to the beat. So I'm going to go through again and have all the cuts go to the beat. That one was good. And to test it out, what you can do is click just before the cut, zoom in, and go frame by frame. And right there, right here is where I want to cut, because that's where that sound is. Listen. Right there. You hear it? So I'm going to drag this over there, just like that. And then you go back a few seconds and listen to make sure it's on the cut. Okay, there's a bit of a delay here with the recording, but that seems to be pretty good. And again, on this one, I'm going to go on the cut. Right there. Arrow key. Right there. Perfect. Seems to be on. And finally, I'm going to go there. A little bit earlier. And the last one. Right about there is where it would end. You can probably be a few frames over 10 seconds. Okay, I can go more into detail, guys, with maybe grabbing, the end of this song. If you make a cut, you can trim this down and bring, shorten the song and bring this down, and then you just listen to this part a few times to make sure it lines up, because now you are cutting the song. But that's in another tutorial. Don't worry about that now. Just giving you guys an overview of Premiere and a basic edit. Okay, guys, so this is a very simple edit. Very simple. I'm gonna hit Option minus to bring down my to bring in my audio layers like that. Okay, hit plus, and I'm going to go over here to effects and type in dissolve. What this will do is fade in a film dissolve. You can put it right here. Okay, you can shorten it, you can lengthen it longer, and what this is going to do is dissolve it in. Very easy. And again, on the very end, film dissolve, you can now dissolve out. Perfect. So at 10:04, I'm going to make a cut. I'm going to delete the audio. Okay? And we now have a 10-second ad. Beautiful. Just like that. Very simple. Okay, guys? I'm not going to go into keyframes or anything like that. A keyframe is animating something so that it can move, such as, let me go back to editing, such as, zooming in. For an example, if I were to set a keyframe, click, and then I go forward in time, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I'll just go to the end of this clip and set another keyframe and adjust the scale to 120. Watch what happens. You can't really tell, but it's zooming in. Let me really exaggerate this, and you'll see now what it does. Perfect. See that? So it's going in on the hands. Okay? And if you want to undo all that, you can just hit the scale button, hit OK, or just hit undo until everything is gone. Perfect. So again, guys, this is the timeline down here. This is where all the editing is going to happen. There's a lot of tools that I'll cover in further tutorials. All these tools over here, all these tools over here. For now, the basics: V is for arrow, C is for cut. Just get the feel of cutting footage, and like a puzzle, look, you can move things around. So I'm going to move this layer over here, move this layer right there, bring it back down. And the beautiful thing with this program is that you can have multiple layers. So you can bring a video file up there and have one underneath as well. Okay, and that's for more advanced editing. But for now, we're just on a single layer. Okay, and that is Adobe Premiere in a nutshell, how you can get started right away. It's not that difficult to just get started, add in some footage, and just let's go. So if you click this arrow and go to the project, the COVID cure, that gets you back to this window here. Okay, so there's the effects window, and then there's over here, which is the COVID cure. Okay, and if you don't like this song, you can delete it, go to music, and you would add in, you would click here on the other one and just drag it in. It's that simple. Look, you just drag it in. Okay. So that is the very basic tutorial in Adobe Premiere. I hope this helped you out. I hope it cleared up some questions that you may have had, and I will continue on with these tutorials, getting more advanced as we go to really uncover the the mysteries and the magic of Adobe Premiere so that you can see what this program is made of. This is part of the Creative Cloud Suite. It is around $33 American a month, around maybe $28, $29 a month to run Premiere. So it's very cheap, especially if you have a client that's paying you money to create ads for them. And in my course, I talk about how you can deal with clients, how you can land some jobs, and how you can work together with clients to create awesome content. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you